every night. Yeah, I've been trying.
All right, BenBoh, thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Good to be here.
Good.
What's up, fans?
Well, let's just get right down into it.
Okay, cool.
First question we got for you today is, what was it like growing up?
So I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I was raised by my mom and my dad, and I had a brother and a sister, Cameron and Cashen. Cameron is 4 years younger than me, and Cashen's 6 years younger than me. We grew up in the suburbs of D.C., basically, is where Montgomery County, Maryland is, for those who wouldn't know that. Basically, had a pretty normal childhood. I went to private school. We all went to private school, me, my brother, and my sister. I actually went to, let me rewind. I was born in Frederick, Maryland, actually, and moved immediately to Rockville, and went to St. Jude's in Rockville. Which is a small private school. It's like preschool to 8th grade, and so that's where I went all my younger years. We actually moved from Rockville to Olney, Maryland, like when I was in 5th grade, and basically I didn't want to leave schools, so I stayed at St. Jude's, but then my brother and sister both were young enough to go to St. Peter's in Olney, so that's where they went. But we basically, grew up in we were lucky enough to have both our parents. They, were together, still together, so they were very supportive, growing up, sending us to private school, trying to kind of shelter us as much as they could from, any harm or whatever. My mom was very strict growing up. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of the things my friends were allowed to do. I wasn't allowed to, as a little kid, I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers. So, just to put in perspective how kind of strict she was. But then, I was very resistant to that. I was always, trying to push the boundaries, always trying to have fun, always wanted to be cool, always wanted to be accepted by people. Basically, I did everything I could to, make friends in school, but got kind of bullied my younger years, but eventually, found a group of friends as I, went into high school. So, growing up was, it was fun. We were very close with my family, both sides, my mom and my dad. My mom's one of 7, my dad's one of 5, so we were going to my dad's, side of the family for Christmas, going to my mom's side of the family for Thanksgiving, and switching off every year. And then in between time, always seeing them, whether it was, birthday parties, just random events, you know what I mean? People just throwing parties and dinners at their houses. So both sides of my family are very close. So I grew up very family oriented, and then, kind of blessed to just be in a very safe, area in Montgomery County, Maryland. So yeah, that's kind of how it was growing up for me. I was very lucky to kind of live in a nice area. Although I kind of myself had some troubles just kind of making friends and just going through bullying. But in terms of just my family and that, I always had a lot of, good support and stuff. So that was good for sure. So yeah.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Always good to have a supporting fan behind your back. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I my fam's the most important thing for sure for me. So it'll always be like that.
Did you always want to be a music artist?
No. So I was originally an athlete. Basketball mainly was my first love, and kind of still is my my main love. I started playing when I was probably 3 or 4. As soon as I could walk, I was shooting at a little hoop in my basement, and then gradually started playing more and more with the kids in the neighborhood. Eventually joined a team. Once I moved out to Rockville, I made the AAU team in my area. So that was cool. Played AAU basketball along with my school at St. Jude's. So it was that was a big part of my life, was growing up and playing basketball. So no, that wasn't originally something that I ever thought I could do. You know what I mean? It was just something I when I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, oh, you're not a music artist. So, that was kind of just that. I just never really considered it for myself. Although I was very into music, I listened to a lot of, all the up and coming like artists and stuff. I was like really into. I was always the guy that was trying to put all my friends on to the new song that was coming out, the new artist that was coming up, anything that I thought was cool kind of in pop culture. I was always that guy that was kind of really into it. So in that aspect of it, I was into it, but no, I never really like planned on, thought about it at all. So yeah.
Cool. So you played basketball. Guessing that had
yeah.
influence on you?
I did, yeah. So I played, like I said, played for my whole childhood, and then eventually was, made my high school team finally by my senior year. I didn't make it any other years other than the senior year. And I made the, varsity team. That was cool. I rode the bench, but that was still okay. It was still fun to like make the team and just say that I did. And then, that also just allowed me to kind of, make friends, get to know people in my school. 'Cause I had actually switched schools. I got kicked out of my my private high school junior year. At orientation, I got kicked out for smoking weed. So I ended up going to public school, and that was actually ended up being a really fun experience. Had a great time at what was called Sherwood High School, and that's in Olney, and met a bunch of new people, you know what I mean? And that's where I made the basketball team. So it kind of gave me an opportunity to have a chance to play basketball, meet new people. So yeah, I did play basketball, and that was always like a big part of just, making friends and part of my life every weekend growing up, for sure.
Cool. What made you fall in love with music?
So basically like I said, I was always like super hyper obsessed with kind of pop culture and who was coming up and the new artists that were on Instagram and Twitter, and the people that people were things that people were talking about, all the brand new stuff. That's what I was into. So all the new songs that were coming out, I was the one that was trying to show my friends like, okay, this is the new song, this is going to be popular in like 3 months, we should listen to it now because we should know all the words by the time it comes out, or by the time everyone else like starts to get on it. I don't know, just like I was always just trying to put people on, like, you know what I mean, because I always found it interesting that I kind of had a knack for knowing what that song was or who that artist was. I kind of always, ever since I was younger, like, and really got into music, I kind of was very good at knowing, who the new artist was going to be, just based off of seeing, talent that was out there, and kind of just like being able to see, okay, this guy's going to be the next thing. And, putting people on to that was always a big excitement of mine, because, 99% of the time, 3 months to a year down the road, it was that was like the next hot thing, or that was the next hot artist that everyone was like, listening to. And I thought that was so cool that I was, able to, I guess, know that before other people. Not that I ever thought that was like really even a skill, because it was just kind of something like that you can't really even like, that doesn't really translate to anything in real life. Like being able to like just knowing who the next hot thing isn't really like a skill. So that's not really something you can like, brag to your parents about or something. But that was something I always deep down thought was cool in my own head, was just that like I always was able to recognize talent, So that was just something, that definitely got me started with listening to music and liking music. And then from there, I met a friend in high school. His name's Rondé, and we met basically after I got kicked out of my first high school, went to the second high school, junior year. He had just transferred in to that same high school from Pittsburgh. Actually, he's from North Carolina, but he's originally from Pittsburgh. So he was already a music artist, and he kind of like took my love of music to the next level, because he had his own car and had a crazy music system in the car. We would listen to crazy music. He would put me on to like Gucci Mane, OJ the Juice Man, Wiz Khalifa. That was where like I was discovering, Chief Keef for the first time. So a lot of just like the stuff that I really loved, he was putting me onto. So it was like I'd always been the guy to put everybody else onto the shit, and now I finally met somebody that was putting me onto something. So like we hit it off immediately. It was like, okay, now we're best friends. Like I think we're now best friends. Like that kind of thing. So we were, we hit it off, and eventually it was like, basically my love of music and his love of music came together and took up both of our music love to even that next level, because we were, listening to music, going to concerts together, doing all that. So, I just always loved music, and definitely in high school is where it really peaked in terms of just my love of it all.
So you mentioned Wiz Khalifa, or that Rondé was getting you onto like new artists.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite artists were growing up?
So my favorite artists growing up were probably, like I just said, Gucci. Chief Keef was probably my ultimately favorite artist, because I definitely felt like I discovered Chief Keef before a lot of people in my area did, and I was the guy that like showed a lot of people Chief Keef's new songs. And the way that Chief Keef introduced himself into the game, or his marketing strategy, his label, whoever was in charge of that, I felt like did a great job, and I don't think it's really been done ever since in terms of just basically getting people hyped for his music that was coming out. He would do snippets. He would do a music video, but there would be a snippet, like a 15-second snippet of the music video before it would come out, and that would be of a new song that you never heard too. So he would come out with like the song and the music video on the same day. He was one of the first artists to ever to do that, to like drop a new song and a new music video on the same day, at least in rap. So and that usually isn't done. Usually before then it was like, people would have a song, it ended up being a hit, and then they would do a music video for it, you know what I mean? So he kind of started that whole, doing a song and putting it out with a music video on the same day, which I think then made the hype of the song just that much more, because you saw the video with it. But so the way he would introduce his songs were, he would do a 15-second snippet of the video. So it would be like he's like previewing a song and a video at the same time, and those 15-second snippets were just the coolest things you'd ever seen at the time. And you could just tell that song was going to be amazing just based off of the beat that you heard for 15 seconds and based off of just that little bit he gave you. So yeah, Chief Keef was definitely, and probably still is, my favorite artist. And then Riff Raff, of course, is probably one of my just ultimate like stylistic, like I just idolize the way he doesn't give a fuck and just wears whatever he wants and expresses himself however he wants, and embraces the culture, and I just love everything about Riff Raff's style. So he's him, Riff Raff, Gucci Mane, Chief Keef, and Riff Raff are probably my top 3 artists of all time, just in terms of, and it really has only partial to do with their lyrics or their song, their music. That's just part of it. It's like who they are as a whole. Because to me, an artist is not only their songs, but it's who they are as a person, and how they portray themselves and what they do on social media, and the videos they put out, and just everything about them. That's what an artist is. So and I recognize that at a young age. So I definitely think that they have the whole package, and that's something that like I think is really important, is having the whole package, not just one thing. So
that's a great point right there.
Yeah.
We were talking a little before the interview, and you mentioned something to me about being a manager.
Yeah, so Rondé, basically my friend Rondé, like I'd said, he made music. So he introduced me to like his music, as we were getting to know each other. We're hanging out. This is senior year of high school. He's showing me his stuff he's made. It's really good. So, and I'm not somebody that like I said, I was always the person that was putting people on to new music. I'm very judgmental when it comes to new artists. So when I say it was really good, I mean it was really good. And it was just like, wow, my friend's actually really good at making music. And I'm super obsessed with, the culture and he kind of just seems like he needs some help with it, just based off of he's doing it all by himself. So I was like, we both kind of just threw out. I think I might have thrown out the idea, like, I'll manage you, you know what I mean? And he was just like, I'd need a manager. That'd be great. So it was as simple as just like, me managing my best friend at the time. So it wasn't like it was anything like a written. There was no like written, contract or anything. But it was like, once we agreed, okay, Ben, you're gonna manage me now. I put all my effort into managing Rondé at that point, because he was my best friend, and I really thought he had the talent to make it to the next level, and I still do. And he, so basically, we are now together in this. So I'm now starting to dive more into kind of what he's doing as an artist, and I'm just discovering more and more of like this amazing. What he's able to do is just so amazing. Like all the songs he's got, and then the stuff he's able to create on a whim was just so good. And then I think once he realized I was supporting him, it kind of gave him that extra energy to want to keep going and want to take it to the next level. And that's exactly what he did. He ended up going to the Art Institute of Washington in DC after he graduated. I forgot to mention he was a year older than me. So my senior year, he was at the Art Institute in Washington. So I would drive to visit him, senior year of high school, while he was in his dorm in college, and he lived with a bunch of other artists. So they were all making music, and he had taken his, drive to that next level of wanting to make music. He teamed up with his roommate, and they kind of had a little collab thing going where they were coming out with music together, him and his roommate. And I was kind of overseeing Rondé still as his manager. So just to see what he was doing. He was doing it all on his own. I'm not going to take any credit. He came up with this thing called Star Piece. That was kind of his movement. He came up with his label, if you will. And him and his boy Millie Mack, shout out Millie Mack, did like a whole project together, and it was really good. And this is, I guess, still back in like 2010 to like 2009 or something, probably 2010. So I mean, he's making a lot of stuff, and it's really good. And we're pushing it. We finally decide, all right, we want a feature. We feel like Rondé's got all this body work. I feel like he's so good. Everything he comes out with is amazing, right? And we've now kind of figured out how to record and what he needs to do to record, and at least he knows how to record himself and stuff and make it sound great. So we end up getting a feature from Stitches, the artist Stitches. I don't know if you remember the guy who like came out with Molly Cyrus. He like had literal stitches on his face, but he was like really hot for like a second in like 2011 or whatever. And we ended up hitting him up for a feature because I, for some reason, was like super obsessed with him at one time, just because I thought he was like super funny. Not that I thought he was like super really good. I just liked how he like didn't give a fuck and was just saying like the craziest shit. So I really thought he was gonna go somewhere. So I came up with the idea. Was like, all right, we should get a Stitches feature. And I hit him up, and he actually ended up replying, and we ended up getting a feature from Stitches. What we didn't do was market it after the fact at all, because we didn't know that side of the industry at all. And basically ended up getting a song, doing it with Stitches, putting it out, and not really marketing it at all. So therefore no one really knew it was out. It did get some play, but not nearly as much as it should have at the time, because Stitches was at his prime. And it was like, but the fact that we got it done, we put it together, was just another, I thought exciting thing for Rondé, at the time. Like, wow, like we just got a Stitches feature, and this was again at Stitches peak. So it was pretty cool. Like he had just done, a couple videos that had just surfaced over 1 million views, and like, so we thought doing a song with him, once we put the song out, the song's dropped. People are already Googling Stitch's name at the time. We just figured it would blow up. But now, knowing the industry a little more, I know that I should have doubled down and put twice as much money as I did paying Stitches to do the feature into marketing the song, because then more people would have seen it, and then maybe it would have gone viral. But we didn't do that. So you live and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you talked to me about what got you into music, how you became a manager for a musical artist, but what made you start making music yourself?
So, I've talked about it a couple times on different podcasts and stuff, but we'll talk about it again. My sister Cashen, shout out Cashen, she passed away in 2016. She was 16 years old, and she died of a seizure, or multiple seizures, which caused a brain hemorrhage, I believe. And she never woke up or responded from those seizures. She basically just got sick, like really sick, and we don't know what caused it. The doctors didn't really know what caused it. So it was kind of crazy. It was life changing. It was like, this is my sister that I, not like, my half sister, not, someone that I wasn't close with. This is like, we had her room was right next to mine my entire life. So, it fucked me up. You know what I mean? It was like the worst thing that you could ever imagine. Like it was, a nightmare. It was, you just never thought that would happen. Sorry. You don't expect something like that. When you're growing up, as a kid, as a kid, you don't expect that, You just think about, like, you hear stories of other bad things happening, right? You hear stories, of terrible things happening around the world, and you're like, man, that's awful. But that'll never happen to us. That'll never happen to my family. So when it did happen, it was just, it fucked me up. It fucked us all up. And basically changed completely changed how I looked at life. But luckily I was able to actually take it and run with it, in the sense that I used it for motivation. I tried to use it to strengthen me. I actually immediately when she passed away, I felt this like a complete change in myself. I just felt so much stronger as a person. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was, whatever people want to say. It was her energy being passed over. It was whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it. But I just, that completely changed me as a person. And having to go up and speak at her funeral was, crazy, because like she just passed away. It's the last thing you want to do is go speak in front of a bunch of people. But then I just realized, like, this is something I have to do. So I went and did that. And before then, I was there was no way you could have ever gotten me to speak in front of a crowd. You know what I mean? I was just one of those guys that was like, I won't even speak in front of my class for a project. Nothing. I would never, just because I was just so shy and just didn't want to be the center of attention ever. But then, when that happened, I just realized, like, I just told myself, like, this is something I have to do for her. Who cares how I feel about this? Like, this is nothing to do with me. This is just, like, the worst thing, and I gotta go talk for my sister. So I went and did it, and, I did well, and I stood my ground, and I just felt, like, a sense of, like, just, like, I wasn't scared at all, and I thought I would be. And I wasn't. And it was just like, it was a change in the way I thought about myself, the way I looked at myself, the way I kind of just like sensed that I needed to do more. I wanted to do more with my life. And at the time I was selling insurance, kind of like unhappy, working a desk job, and just decided then and there I needed to like go do something different. I didn't really know exactly what it was right when it happened, but it was just like I needed to do something different. So I quit my job, and right then I found my brother actually, let's rewind a little bit before Cashen passed. My brother had made a song with a couple of his friends, my younger brother Cameron, and it actually kind of went viral on SoundCloud. It like went up to like 30,000 plays with like they didn't do any promo or anything. It just somehow went up to that. So he had already kind of taken the initiative of making a song, and I thought that was so cool that it kind of went up on SoundCloud, because again, I'm that guy that's really into new music and people coming up and just the whole like who's hot and like how do you get famous and just like all that pop culture shit I'm super into. So the fact that my brother dropped a song on SoundCloud, which at the time was at its peak, and it came out, it like went to 30,000 plays, it just kind of changed how I looked at like, oh wow, like you actually probably could, someone could do that and get famous. So basically he took the initiative of doing that song, and then basically after I quit my job, I realized like, all right, I'm gonna try to start making music. Cameron had done it, and like he'd actually at that point gotten some of the equipment too and put it in our basement. So we had the equipment, it was in the basement, and I'm like, I'd quit my job. I'd found another job at that point at a dispensary, so I was like 10 times happier with what I was doing. And I was just in a better mindset, you know what I mean? So I went and started making music, and immediately, like the second I made music with my brother, the first time we made song down here in my basement, we made the song, and basically just like hearing my voice through the mic on the speakers was like, that was it for me. I didn't say anything cool. I had a shitty verse. I probably, didn't even finish my verse, but it was just like the fact that I'd never, that like breakthrough of just like, oh wow, like hearing it, like I can do that, like that. I heard myself, and like, so that right there, like kind of made me fall in love with it. Like immediately, like I was like, I was hooked. I was like, oh shit, like I need to completely try to do this. So I like, from there started to do what I thought was make good songs. Basically it was just freestyling at that time, because I thought that that's like, you hear Lil Wayne talk about, oh, I just freestyle everything, whatever. You hear a lot of my favorite artists talk about how they freestyle, so you're like, all right, I'm gonna freestyle. So you start freestyling on the mic. I'm like rapping, because of course that's my favorite kind of music, is rap music. So you're basically as an up and coming artist, you're just trying to figure it out, and you're basically mimicking what your favorite artists are doing, just kind of like doing your version of Chief Keef, my version of Gucci Mane, my version of Riff Raff. So that's what I was doing. It was kind of mimicking my favorite artists, and then trying to, that's what I thought I had to do. So that's kind of, how I got into making music, was just, my sister passing, and then me feeling like I needed to do something different, and then taking that initiative to make that song, with my brother, and then from there falling in love with it, and then trying to, kind of taking it and running with it from there. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that story, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so when did you realize that making music was what you were meant to do?
So first trip to LA, which was, like I said, I dove deep. I dove in quick for the music. I took it and ran with it. Once I got into it, I realized this is what I was meant to do. Or actually, no, you just asked that. When did I realize? So I got into it, right? So I made music with my brother, and now I'm kind of making music with other people that I know that make music in the area, or at least trying to. And then I basically teamed up with my friend Rondé, and we decided that, okay, Ben's making music now too. All right, basically we're kind of like gonna try to make music together, at least not as a group, but as just kind of like, he's making music, I'm making music, and we're both gonna come up together as individual artists. But we're both gonna help each other come up. And so basically me and him decided, like, all right, we got to go out to LA, because that's, obviously the mecca of, music, the mecca of live performance, the mecca of, studios. So we go out there for the first time, kind of on a whim, not really knowing what to expect, or actually I lied. Rondé actually had gotten a performance out there, and he actually had just moved, or was moving out there to live with his aunt. So I basically drove out there with him to move out there, and we end up, staying. I got an Airbnb, and he stayed with me, and also was moving in, his stuff to his aunt's house. But basically he had gotten a gig, a live performance that because he was already making music now for years and had a little bit of a following, had now gotten himself, a live performance gig in LA. So just coincidentally corresponding with the time he was moving out there, he had a live show, and he was like, all right, Ben, you're going to come out and, help me do this. The idea was that I was going to kind of be his hype man, basically, for his performance and perform with him. And we had a song at that point that we had done, so we were going to perform that song. So the thought was, it was going to be his set, and, I was going to do a song with him, and, we go out there, and that's kind of what we did. We went out and had a great time. It was like, I'm in LA for the first time, got a rental car, got like had to do like a convertible, like Mustang or something, got a nice like little, rental car, was driving around in awe because I was just like so obsessed with like everything pop culture. So I'm like, everywhere I looked, I thought I was going to see like a movie star, because it's like you did see a couple. So it was like you thought everywhere you looked was going to be like next where you turn, it's like another movie star. So it was so cool. I was like looking around trying to find the next one, and like looking at all the cool cars. I was driving around the hills for no reason, just like up and down like the LA hills, like checking out all the mansions and shit. It was so cool. I thought it was like, I just felt like I was at home. I was home, and it was just like, man, this is so awesome. And like, so we had the live performance, and it went great. And there was other live performers there too, because it wasn't just us. It was, Rondé's show and like a couple others. There was like 5 other performers. So we got to meet got all of them, of course, and 2 of them ended up becoming like our best friends, Johnny Juice and Egypt. And that's, so that's where I met Johnny in Egypt. Johnny is now like my main producer and one of my best friends, and Egypt is one of my best friends, and we've done a bunch of music together. So me and Rondé met Johnny in Egypt at the first show that Rondé did and had, and so that was just so amazing that like now we've met 2 other like-minded people just from going out to LA, and that same trip. I went to a Trippie Redd concert, and it was like a live, obviously a live Trippie Redd concert performance in LA. And this is like when Trippie Redd's first coming up, but like really coming up. He had just blown up. So it was like this show was like lit as fuck. There were so many people there, and downtown LA. And so we go to this show, and we just had our show. It was lit as fuck. We met a bunch of people. We were having a good time in LA already. So we were already on like in good spirits. So we go to the show. We're hyped as fuck because we love Trippie Redd. We end up like getting into the show, and somehow or another, I decided that like it was going to be a good idea for us to try to walk backstage, because basically we saw an opportunity that like the door basically to lead to backstage seemed to be left unguarded. And we were just like, I think that looks like backstage. Like, do you want to try to walk back there, basically? And it was just one of those things. And we were like, yeah, okay, bet. Like, let's go. I said that to Rondé, and he was like, all right, bet, let's go. So we went, and then we got stopped. So we were like, oh my God, we just got stopped. So sure enough, now we're like, okay, that's definitely the door to backstage. We got stopped, whatever. The guy that stopped us fucking walks away. He like literally stops us and then walks away. So we like literally walked 10 feet and then turned around and went right into the door. And like, so we walk backstage, and we get back there, and we're like, we see the people that had just opened up the show. And this was a show in front of like 10,000 people. So we were like, we had seen part of the first opening act from like the fucking nosebleed seats, and then like, kind of walked back walked around and then found the door to backstage and then walked backstage and then saw the opening act that had just performed smoking a blunt back there and immediately walked up to them. I just knew it would be a good idea to kind of make friends with them because I knew if me and Rondé were just standing backstage by ourselves that it would look sketchy because then people would just be like, who the hell are they? Because we didn't do anything. But like if we were to go smoke a blunt with the opening act, then it would seem like we were kind of with them, you know what I mean? So I knew, like, just by off instinct, I knew that was going to be a good idea to like go up to the opening act and say what's good. So I went up and said what's good, like nice. I congratulated them on their performance, you know what I mean? Because they did do a good job, and I also knew that would be a nice thing to say, and maybe that would get us an invite to come chill with them. So I did that, and sure enough, we had weed on us, and we were like, all right, we're about to roll up. Like they were rolling up already, so we rolled up with them and smoked with them. So like we're kind of in this backstage like area kind of, but it's just the opening act and us smoking a blunt. And then basically what happened was so basically ends up happening. Smoke Perp walks past us. I don't know if you know who Smoke Perp is, but Smoke Perp is like at the time is also blowing up and is like one of the hottest artists in the world, or at least hottest artists in hip hop. And literally I see him walk past us and I'm like, holy fuck, that's Smoke Perp. And then I'm like, that's awesome. Like, but I play it cool. I'm like, what's good? Like, just don't even say anything to him. He walks past me. Next thing you know, Adam 22 walks up, and Adam 22 is like, you know, kind of a celebrity because he's a podcaster that talks about up and coming artists, whatever. Adam 22 walks up, so I'm like, what's good, Adam? Like, I actually dapped Adam up because I was like, I know who you are. I have to say hi to you because I'm like, that's so cool. Like at the time, Adam 22 was also at his peak, so it was just like, holy fuck, Adam 22. And I dapped him up, just didn't even lie. I was like, what's good, Adam? Just dapped him up and he walked past me. It wasn't anything crazy, but I thought that was so cool because I like dapped him up. Whatever, I dapped up Adam 22. That was sweet. So it's like he goes in after Smoke Perp, so they kind of walk past us into like another room. So we're still next to the opening act smoking a blunt in the backstage area. Just got walked past by whatever Smoke Perp and Adam 22, and then the security came by and they didn't say shit. So I knew we were good. I was like, holy shit. Security just came by, and like we even cracked a joke with security. So it was like, we're in. Now we're in. We're backstage and we're in. Like we've been seen by security and they've dubbed us okay. They either think we're another artist or they think like we belong here for some reason. So we're in. We're backstage, and I'm like, holy fuck, we're backstage. But then like the main show gets started, and then the backstage people kind of move to watch the performance into the VIP area. So we're like, all right, we kind of start walking along with them. We're like, all right, bet, walk to VIP. So we end up getting into the VIP section with the opening act and like all the groupies that were with the main people, which is Smoke Perp. We still haven't seen Trippie Redd yet, and Adam 22 is like he's actually on stage. So, but basically all the people that were with them are in the VIP. So we're with like, you know, Smoke Perp's family and like all his friends and like shit like that. So it's like that's where we was in the VIP. We end up getting into VIP and we're chilling up there watching the live performance. And like it was just sick as fuck because like it's basically backstage. So you're watching the live performance backstage. This is the first time I'm in LA. I just had my live performance and I was like snuck backstage. So I was like, man, this is like really feeling like this is supposed to be happening right now. I don't know. It was just such a weird feeling. It was like, wow, why is all this like going so well? But then like, so Trippie Redd ends up fucking like, and none of this is exaggerated. Trippie Redd the performance goes, it's dopest performance ever. Fucking mosh pits, fucking completely sold out show, and like the sickest show I've ever been to. And then like show ends, we see Trippie Redd leaving through the backstage area that we had just smoked a blunt in, and then left to go into the VIP area. So we knew exactly where he was. So we walked back down, kind of following him out. He stopped. The show was still going on. There were still people there. They hadn't left yet. The show wasn't going on, but people hadn't left yet. So it was like, but Trippie Redd had just dipped. And I was like, I'm dipping. I'm following him. I left the VIP area, walked back down because I'd seen where he walked to, which is the area that we smoked a blunt in. And I didn't see him, but I like continued out basically to the exit, and like then I saw him. I like made a looked left, and I was like, there's Trippie Redd. He was literally at a taco stand that was right outside fucking where we were getting a taco. And like at this point, I guess some fans had started to come out and saw him getting a taco. So he was like, but not many. It was probably like 20 at this point. Saw him getting a taco, kind of ran up to him behind him, like was like, oh my God, you're getting a taco. And I was like, whatever. But so ends up like whatever. He's outside. I'm like basically next to him. I end up talking to him and asking him if he wants to smoke a blunt, because eventually he walks away from the taco stand, tries to go to his car, and gets in his car and leaves, obviously. And like people are chasing him, and like they're not chasing him in the areas that like I don't even know. They're just being so like fanny about it. Like everyone's like chasing him like a fan would chase him, and I'm like walking like if I was him, how would I like go about this? And like so I like eventually like I'm like with him, like we're like escaping together basically. Like I'm like talking to him, but I'm like I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm just saying what's up. Like this is crazy. Like over here. Like so I'm like like we're escaping together because we're now at this point we're outside and there's a million cars in the parking lot. So we're like going in. I'm going in and out of cars with Trippie Redd, kind of. Not like too many cars, like a few, to the point where he's like almost at his car. And then I ask him if he wants to hit a blunt. He's like, I can't because he's on probation. But we had a few words exchanged. So it was kind of cool. I just talked to Trippie Redd. I was like, wow, that was cool. He was a nice guy. He didn't say fuck you or anything. Whatever. It seemed like a very like, it was as if I was talking to one of my friends. Like it was like that. It was a chill conversation. And it was like, okay, see ya, dude. Like, all right, whatever. So it ends up like he pulls out in his like fucking Rolls Royce Wraith. And like I get immediately sprint to my rental car because I'm like, this isn't over. Like I feel like this is like meant to happen. Like he knows me now because he saw me and I talked to him for a second. So I'm like, I just had like a good feeling. So I was like, I'm about to like go like follow him or something. So I was like, all right. I get in my rental car and he's pulling out of the parking lot. I'm like getting Rondé to go. I'm like, I think we might have had one more person with us. Yeah, my wife was with us, Melissa. Melissa was with us too in LA. So Melissa, Rondé, we were all running back to the car, and like we fucking get into my rental car, and then we like fucking drive next to Trippie Redd, and like you know, I had this is my like convertible like rental car I'd gotten, which was kind of cool. It was a Mustang, whatever, and it wasn't that cool, but it was like cool enough to the point where I kind of looked cool, and I was bumping his music like on full blast. We were pulling up, and I'm like, literally, I had it all planned in my head, not planned, but I was like, okay. I'm like, got in my car, right? He's going up. I'm like, I'm pulling up his music on my fucking phone. Like, I'm like, all right, I have to find one of his songs to blast. I like can't find the right song. Finally found the song. I blast it. Like, as we're pulling up, the song starts. Like, literally, like, kind of, like, to the point where he can hear it. And it was like, oh, shit. So it was, like, perfect timing. We, like, pull up, and it's like, oh, shit, you're listening to one of my songs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, one of those things. And then I, like, roll down, like, he's like, we, like, have an exchange back and forth. And then he whips his phone out because I'm, like, dancing, like, in my rental car. And he like starts filming me like dancing to one of his songs, and like so it was just such a crazy thing. I was like, wow, like Trippie Redd's filming me like fucking doing some shit. It was crazy. And then like he ends up pulling off, and I let him pull off. I didn't like follow him at that point. I was just like, that was enough. That was a cool ass experience. But like basically that whole trip just kind of made me realize like that I was like an artist, just because like I did the live show, we killed it. So like that in it of itself was like kind of affirmation that okay, I can do this live show shit. And then the whole Trippie Redd experience was just so crazy because it was like, I don't know. I was just like, I realized like I was so much more similar to him and other artists than I thought I was. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, that's basically me. Like I literally was like, that's exactly what I would be doing if I was him right now. like exactly. Like to the point where I literally knew how to like basically maneuver around and like kind of follow him, but not follow him to the point where I was like, made it seem like I belonged. You know what I mean? I literally snuck backstage. The whole thing was just like the sneaking backstage, the, you know, playing it cool, like every little thing. I should have gotten kicked out. None of it should have worked, but it all worked because I knew exactly how to play it, because it was just like that's what an artist would do. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just it was one of those things, whatever, where I was just like, the whole experience kind of made me think like I'm an artist. Like this is what I was meant to do. And like then I basically repeated that whole experience, went back to LA, and had the exact same feeling. So it was like, okay, that next time was like the total affirmation, because I did another live performance. This time the live performance was mine. I killed it. I did my first music video. We completed that, you know what I mean? Everything was just like, everything moved so smoothly, and it was all just like, man, this is like what I'm supposed to do. I'm totally meant to do this. Like, it just all felt like, wow, one thing after another. It was like, man, I'm totally supposed to do this, supposed to do this, supposed to do this. It just feels natural. And like all along the way was like Cashen, my sister, like that motivation of like, I'm doing this for her and for me, because she loved music too. And that was kind of one of the bonds that we had. One of the many things was like just the new music and stuff. I was always putting her onto that shit. She was into it. So it was like, she would have thought it was so cool that I decided to start making music, like beyond cool. Like, I already know she would have loved it. So kind of the whole motivation is like, for her too. It's like, I'm doing this for both of us. You know what I mean? It's like, I wouldn't have done this if she was here, probably, because I don't know if I would have had the courage to, but now that she's not here, it's like, I had the courage now, because she gave it to me, whatever, her energy passed on to me, and now I'm meant to do something greater than what I maybe would have done had she not been here, had she even been here. Because it's now, I almost feel like the responsibility to like do something great, because it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and not great in the sense of getting a good job and getting rich. I mean, like really crazy, like something that's just like, I never in a million years would have thought like that I could do, but I still tried to do it anyways, and like somehow achieved it. That's the thing that I'm doing. It's like the hardest thing that I think I could possibly do is like, that's basically what I'm doing. Because it's like, I could go get a job, whatever, go work for like my uncle, make 6 figures probably, and like fucking do a 9 to 5 and fucking do that. But it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do like, I want to be one of the greatest artists that's ever lived. And I believe that I can do that based off of my work ethic alone. And I do believe that that's like the thing that separates every great artist is not only the talent, but the work ethic. And I have it, you know what I mean? So the fact that I like have the work ethic, and I feel like I have the talent and I know what to do, you know what I mean? I know what artist like, you know what I mean? I've been a student of the game. I didn't realize I was a student of the game because I was hyper obsessed with music, but that's what it was. It was being a student of the game my whole life. Studying what artists are doing. Why is this hot? Why does that get a reaction? Everything. So that all goes into just kind of like how I feel about, or how I go about my, music, how I put out everything, how I introduce things to people, you know what I mean? So basically that's kind of like how I, knew I was meant to do it, you know what I mean?
That was a great story, man.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, man, you're talking to me about all this crazy stuff, all this cool stuff about making music, but tell me, what's a negative about making music?
Man, there's a lot of negatives, actually, unfortunately. It's not all, it is not all roses. I mean, it takes up a lot of time. That's probably one of the, to me, that's not actually even the worst thing about it, but to other people in your life, it's like people want you. People need, you have responsibilities. I have responsibility. I have responsibilities that sometimes, I neglect because I choose music over those things. You know what I mean? I have a wife. I have family. I have, a job. So it's like I have to balance that with the music, and that's probably been the hardest thing in terms of the music for me, is just being able to balance my life responsibilities with my music responsibilities, because it's like I go so hard with the music that it almost is taken over my life. And for a lot of the last 5 years, it really had taken over my life. I had to take a step back actually at a certain point, because it had completely consumed me to the point where I was ignoring my wife, ignoring my job, ignoring everything, and just laser focused on the music, which is great, but it's like, no, it's not great, because now everything else is falling apart. And so it's just like, you have to find that balance of being able to balance your life with, with your responsibilities in life, with, what you want to do and your job, and your, So it's it was that was a hard thing for me, which I'm still learning, and thank God I even realized that it gotten to a point where it was kind of out of control, and then I have tried to switch it up since then, and have been making improvements ever since. I've really realized that, which was probably a year and a half ago to 2 years ish. But another thing is just I probably lost all my 90% of my friends, and that was basically just because some of them was resentment. Rondé is no longer one of my friends. Rondé and I had a falling out because we just had creative differences when it came to the music, and he wanted to do one style, I wanted to do my style, and he kind of had a problem with that. He had a problem with the fact that I didn't want to do the things that he wanted to do, and I was always why can't you do what you do and I do what I do, and we still work together. But it was like he kind of wanted me to do his style and do his thing, and it was just like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not me. You need to be I needed to be original, and I felt like that was really important to me, is always just remaining original and remaining like myself, and and I felt like he didn't really wasn't gonna allow me to do that. So whatever, maybe I saw that the wrong way, but that's how I saw it. And it also got to the point where I had taken it to the next level. I had almost passed where he had gotten to in the industry, and he didn't like that because he had been doing it for so long, and I had just started. It's seemingly just started, and it didn't make sense as to why I had leveled up to the point where I had leveled up to. And it really was just because of my work ethic and the fact that I was willing to invest pretty much every dollar I had made into myself, which he kind of saw that as me having the white privilege, whatever, being people somehow, I don't know, maybe he thought someone in my family was giving me the money. I mean, I worked for every dollar that I spent, but it was just the thought that I did have a great upbringing, and he didn't have that, but he had a lot of great things. And I think that it just got to the point where there was some jealousy and also creative differences, whatever. So we are no longer friends. I'm not friends with other 90% of my friends, just because it got to the point where I was just always trying to do music, and they didn't want to do that, and it was just we don't really have anything in common anymore. You know what I mean? And then you start to meet people that do want to do music all the time, so you meet new friends, and it's just all the people I'm friends with now, they all go to the studio all the time too, so they understand that lifestyle and love that stuff. So it's just you start to meet other people, so that's a good thing, but it's also the negative of losing those friends that you thought you'd be friends with your whole life, and now you're not friends with them anymore. So really just the balance of time, and then kind of losing some people along the way is definitely a thing, whether it's jealousy or just difference of opinion.
What body of work are you most proud of?
What body of work am I most proud of? I'm most proud of I'd say all my albums. I'd say I'm most proud of basically all of them. I mean, when I'd say, Before the Fame 1 and 2, I'm extremely proud of. Before the Fame 1, I mean, it just I can't believe I even got to the level that I'm at, you know what I mean? Just in terms of how it sounds, the professionalism of it, not even having to do with the lyrics, just how my music sounds, radio quality is still blows my mind to this day, just because I never thought I would even get to that point. The fact that I have now hundreds of thousands of people listening to my stuff all the time, or throughout the year, is amazing to me. I never thought I would get past 100 plays. I vividly remember being extremely excited when I did pass 100 plays on one of my first SoundCloud songs, and I was like, wow, I thought that was so cool. And now it's I've just passed, I'm almost at 3 million plays on YouTube. I'm almost, I'm at the same number on Spotify. Just so many people listening from hundreds of, over 100 countries. And that's just crazy to me, because I never thought I would get to that point. So what work am I most proud of? I mean, I'm just most proud of all of it, because it's just like all the albums I just put so much hard work into, and all the songs I feel like are radio quality. Whether you like them or not, you can't deny that they sound pretty good on when you put it on. It sounds like a radio quality song, whether you like that kind of music or not. There is people that do. So like I have many people that like my music. So it's like, now I know that my music just needs to be heard by more people, is really what it gets down to, is getting my music out in front of more people, getting my videos out in front of people. I mean, all the videos too, I'm so proud of, because I do feel like videos are what separates artists, is like when people get to see you and really put a video and a song together, it really makes the song whole. And I'm most proud of just all my videos too, because I feel like I've done a great job with all my videos, and that's something I've put a lot of effort and, invested a lot into, because I felt like that was just really important, and they really did come out the way I wanted them to. So, just the videos on YouTube and then my albums, I'm very proud of.
So, with Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all the stuff we have today, all these different outlets that, artists can use to get their stuff out, how does an up-and-coming artist today deal with all this competition in today's technological age?
I'll tell you, it's very hard. I mean, there's so many artists now. It's completely different than when I was even like a teenager, because there was this change where like it got to a point where technology did reach a point now where it is possible for anyone to make music and have it sound pretty good, because of just some of the plugins that are available, the auto-tune, the auto-tune technology that's available for people, the way that you can, tune your voice now is just so different than it was even 20 years ago, to the point where anyone can do it, and anyone who knows how to work those systems and those technologies can actually manipulate them to the point where they sound very, very good. And then that along with certain artists like a Juice WRLD, certain artists like Lil Peep, certain artists like Wiz Khalifa, certain artists like Lil Pump even, changed the game, because it made people realize like anyone can make music, because these characters are all people that were not doing anything, or seemingly not doing anything like crazy or super talented. At least it seemed like it was just the way that they were doing it, and kind of the energy that they brought, and then also them just talking about the real life kind of stuff that they're going through versus like flexing on people. The actual lyrics have changed to the point where people are talking about, what the suffering rather than, what's good about their life. And that's kind of giving people more to talk about, because a lot of people are going through shit rather than having a great life. So now people now feel like they can make music because they can now rap about how their life sucks, you know what I mean? Versus like just having to rap about how their life's so cool, because that used to be the thing that people only wanted to hear. But now people do want to hear that emotional stuff. People do want to hear about how, people are having bad days and whatever, because a lot of people did just have a bad day and whatever, they want to have that vibe. And that's something they can relate to. So I think, the new technologies have given more people the ability to make music. So now there's just so much more competition out there, and now everybody's got a friend that makes music, and everyone's got a family member that makes music. So you're competing against more people. So it's just like you have to bring more to the table and than ever before to be able to stand out. And even when you do stand out, you have to keep bringing that same more to the table, because then you're expected to bring that thing. Whatever you just brought, you need to bring at least that to the next thing, or else you're falling off. So it's like technology is good and bad, because it's kind of like giving people this like thought that like everything's just so easy to pull off, but it's like it's really not. Like there's thousands of dollars put into every single music video you see. There's hours upon hours of editing put into every single music video you see. There's hours upon hours of, coordination, time, people, like, going places, travel, like, money, like I said, just so much put into everything. Like, every song I do is just, like, at least like $500 to $1,000 out of my pocket, just song. And then it's like, you know what I mean? If you want to do a video, it's another couple thousand. You know what I mean? Just so much money and so much time and so much effort put into, like, something that, like, someone will comment and be like, you fucking suck. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, like, I just put in so much time and effort and money and whatever. And besides the money, I'm tired of talking about that. Just the time and effort alone, it's just like, okay. Like, and then someone will shit on it. So it's just like, art's really tough because it's, like, subjective. So it's like, even if you did put in all that time, if someone doesn't like the style that you're doing, they're not going to appreciate it. So it's just like, all right, now you just got to find the people that do appreciate your style and, find the niche group. And luckily there's 7 billion people in the world. So you can kind of, try to find your people throughout that 7 billion. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, that's all we got for you today. I want to thank you again for coming out.
Yep,
Thanks
absolutely.
Absolutely. One last word you want to tell your fans out there? Anything they should look forward to?
Yeah, BenBoh. I'm going to be dropping Before the Fame 3, which I'm super excited about. Before the Fame 3 is kind of a culmination of all my hard work. And it's obviously not the end by any means, but it's kind of just something that I'm super proud of because I feel like my style is fully put together on this one, and I'm finally totally confident in what I'm bringing as an artist, and I feel like now there is a BenBoh sound, there is a BenBoh style. I know exactly what I want to do every single time I hear a beat. So it's kind of, I'm just so proud that I've been able to get to that point where it's like I'm no longer mimicking other people, I'm mimicking myself, and it's cool because it's like I have a style that I've formed based off of just all the hard work and the hours that I've put in, and that's what you're going to see in Before the Fame 3. So Before the Fame 3 is going to be dropping end of summer, I believe. So check that out. Now there is an album that just came out, Risk It All. That was an alternative album. I hope you guys like that. If you haven't checked it out, you need to download it now because it's awesome. First 5 songs have already blown up internationally, so I hope that they continue to blow up. I've gotten videos for the first 3 songs that are all blowing up too on YouTube. Go check those out. Walk Away, Always Wanted, Better Person. Those are my 3 new videos. Also, Maze came out not too long ago, so those are all surpassed like 250,000. We're still trying to get to that 1 million view mark, but we're very happy with where we're at, and we see that in the future. So stick with us, and appreciate y'all.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you heard it here. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, no problem.
Until next time.
Yep.
I've been grinding every night, yeah, I've been trying to find my way. Yeah, the stress is in my mind, will it ever go away? I feel like now's the perfect time, take control of this damn shame. But baby girl, I need you now, help to bring me out this pain. Yeah, the demons come at nighttime.